Okay, good morning, scholars, the great economists, intermediate macroeconomics, that ECO 312, right? Yeah, sure. Now, because of this model, these methods we have discovered, that's why I said the new narrative is online, digital learning. So, those of you scholars at Gregory University, especially in my department, Department of Economics, and for all scholars in all departments must learn to be, you know, digital compliant. So I want to go back to some of the lectures we have had before, and today in our intermediate macroeconomic 312, I want to revisit the commodity market so that you will also have an understanding, a fresh look of that using the figures, mathematical equations, and all that. So recall, and I told you when we did an analysis of under the consumption and the components of aggregate demand, um, we assume that interest rates, and see how they interact the level of income. We assume that interest rates uh, on investments, on level of investment, and therefore on the level of aggregate demand and income. Interest rates is of utmost, very, very critical, in determining the level of investments and the level of total expenditure or aggregate demand on income. So we observed that period, the last semester, that a specific level of income corresponds to a specific level of consumption, investment, government spending, and net export. You recall. And that change in income relates to changes in any of the components of the aggregate demand, that is the multiplier, and investment demand is inversely related to interest rate. In other words, investment demand is inversely related to interest rate. In other words, when interest rate is low, the investment demand is high because people will be attracted to go and borrow money, all right, to invest. When interest rate is high, it will be defensive to investment. So that's why it has that inverse relation. But today, however, the presentation is not quite realistic because interest rate plays a major role in determining the levels of investment and income. Indeed, it's as a result of this influence of interest rates on investment that interest rate exert a perceptible influence on the real sector. That's the commodity sector. That's what we'll be discussing today. The real sector or commodity sector. Interest rates tremendous influence on investment, on the real sector, or the commodity sector of the economy. Therefore, for a more realistic model of income determination, we have to use the appropriate investment function, which is equal to I sub 00, I is equal to IR. That's interest rate always have, that's a linear equation, that interest rate has exact influence on, be it on the autonomous investment and investment, that formula tells you that interest rates has tremendous influence. You cannot talk about investment without it having influence on interest rates having influence on it. So that's why I said earlier, the higher the interest rate, the lower the investments, right? Investment opportunities, and the lower the investment, the interest rate, the higher the investment opportunity in any given economy. So we now, in other words, we will examine the influence of interest rates on investments and equilibrium in a closed and open economy. So we'll be looking at this influence both in a closed and open economy. All right, and look at the IS, the the IS model. When you see the commodity market, you say it is IS model. Uh, IS tells you about the commodity market. In economics, when you see IS, anywhere you go, after school, you say IS model. Ha, my teacher has told this is the commodity market, that's the goods market or the real sector model. All right, so we're looking at a simple IS model in maybe in a closed economy. Um, we will build the modified investment function into a simple model to determine the equilibrium levels of income. So we state here that the condition for equilibrium under a simple model is that income, all right, is equal to consumption plus what? Plus investment. All right. So when you have to, it's either when you have the income, it's either you save it or you invest it. That's why it's equal to savings is equal to investment. All right. So now the C aspect, they're given that C is equal to A plus BY. That A you see there is autonomous consumption. That is the consumption that is not affected by income. The one that we call man must work for any level of economy or a situation society. There are people that must eat whether they are earning income or not, such that the baby, when you have a child in born, the child must eat. When you have an aged parents, they don't earn income, but they belong to this A, under consumption. All right. And BY tells you that that is a consumption that is determined by income. Why is income? Are you following me? Now, that's exact implication. Then this I that we have told you about the relationship with investment has a very big relationship with the interest rate. That's the formula. So when we tell you about the investment function, that's bringing in the investment function. That tells you when we have dissected the consumption is equal to the investment is we are bringing income, and it's either you consume or you invest. That's the formula you're seeing there. When you bring it back in your quadratic equation, you to y is equal to a plus by plus what this one goes, it becomes plus, all right, and lo plus r. When you look at your quadratic equation, you will be able, you just go through it because you have your mathematical background. I don't need to go into these details. When you look at it, so what is distinguishing this is the equation 3, all right? Look at the equation 3 above. From the initial equilibrium discussed in 4, that the previous discussion, it showed that changes in income will respond to changes in interest rates via changes in investment. That is what this equation 3 is telling you. Let's concentrate on this. The equation 3 here, or this 5.3 here, tells you that, all right, it shows that changes in income will respond to changes in interest rates. That changes in income will respond to changes that income and interest rate will respond to changes in interest rate via the changes in investment. That is what this is telling you, the interpretation of equation 5.3. All right, and in other words, it's telling you that changes in income will respond to changes in interest rates, all right, via the changes in what? In investment. That's why you have an inverse relationship. You remember that the moment I said earlier that interest rates, once the interest rate is low, it affects investment. All right. And what means that it affects the investment will be, people will be attracted, and it will make the income will be high. And once investment interest rate is high, it will also affect investment. People will not be willing to invest, and it will also affect income. So you can see that relationship. Are you following me? So the locus and in general, as interest rate increases, the equilibrium income will fall and vice versa. You see, as interest rate increases, the equilibrium income will fall, because the moment there's an increase in interest rates, investment will reduce, will come down, and of course it means that the income will automatically come down, and vice versa. When there's a decrease or a fall in interest rate, investment will show up and income will increase. That's yeah. So that is not this one. The locus of point showing the various combinations of interest rate and income at which savings is equal to investment and aggregate supply is equal to aggregate demand is known as the IS shadow. You see it, you see that shadow. It's in the next page. Now you will see it. Because of the quality between investment and savings, economists popularly refer to such schedule as the IS curve, meaning investment equal to saving curve. Generally, the combination of interest rates, incomes, where leakages are equal to injections or aggregate equal supply are equal to aggregate demand, define the IS schedule in equation 5.3. You look at it, and can be derived by using leakages equal to injection. Let's go to the next. Now, when you get this, say, look at the IS curve. The locus of point, this is what we call IS. Look at this. Interest rate on investment is equal to, are you hearing me? That is interest rates. Are you saying it? Is equal to the level of income. You remember when we said, let me go back. I said, though, the locus of point showing the various combinations of interest rate and income at which savings is equal to investment and aggregate supply is equal to aggregate demand is known as the what? IS curve. That is, look at the curve now. The locus of point at which interest rates is 10%, level of income is what? You see the vertical side. The vertical side, look at the IS curve now. The vertical side is the interest rate curve. The horizontal side is the income curve. So the locus of points between interest rates and income is called what's called that. Those locus what we call the IS curve. You see it now, the IS curve. So if the interest rate is 10%, the total income is 500. Are you hearing me? If the interest rate is 8, the total income is 540. You see the vice versa. The lower the interest rate, the more income you earn. That's what the IS curve tells you. Are you following me? Look at it. It's very clear. The more the interest rate. So in this IS schedule, you can be told to give you this IS schedule, and they draw the IS curve. So we got this in the schedule, table 5.1 in IS schedule in a simple model. Because it tells you that the interest rate and it has a relationship, an inverse relationship with the level of income. So the higher the interest rate in the economy, the lower the what? The higher the interest rates, the lower the level of income. That's what this the curve is telling you. All right. Then so let's go back. So that's exactly what. So you cannot determine. I can say, given if the consumption function is equal to 10, 100 plus 0.7y, that's autonomous consumption, and interest rate is this 75 minus 5r. Y plus ci is equals to y is 100. Are you following me? Then CI is this plus the investment 75 minus 5R. So y, are you getting me? Y is equal to, when you get the what to say, you when the positive goes there, it becomes negative. That minus 7.5 is equal to 100 plus 75. That is 175R. You saw it, yeah, with your quadratic equation, you'll be able to see it. So what it means is that y is equal to 0.25 725 cube minus, all right, because when you have just separated, minus 175 minus 5R. Y is equal to 175 by over this, all right. So it will give you y is equal to 700. When you do the calculation, it will give you 700 minus 5. That's the highest equation. All right. By assigning various values. Now, when you assign the various values in figure 5.4, we can say that IS schedule such that arrow is equals to 2. That's what we have just explained. Arrow is equal to 2, then y is equal to 660. All right. For arrow is equal to 4, y is equal to 620. Arrow is equals to 6, y is equal to 520. Arrow is equal to 8, y is equal to 540. Arrow is equal to 10%, y income is equal to 500%. In the schedule, you just get it. You draw the schedule, and this is the table in the something model I have said earlier. Then this one is the graphical representation. The graphical representation is on the table. You'll be able to know your quadratic equation. When you follow this, go back to your mathematics 101 or 201. These are things that I don't need to be teaching to you now. You must know it. If you don't have it, it's your problem. You need to go back to your mathematical economics or even mathematics 101. So this is not within my purview. Then, then, that figure 5.1 shows a simple, derivation of the IS curve from the IS schedule in that table 5.1. All right. In the figure, the effect of interest rate on aggregate demand through investment is derived. I've always told you that interest rate and the total and the aggregate demand and the total income has an inverse relationship. All right. So each curve gives a relationship between aggregate demand and income. An interest rate falls from arrow 1 to arrow 2. Investment, if interest rate falls from arrow 1 to arrow 2, all right, you have seen it, then investment increases and shift the aggregate demand. Now look at this now. Hold on, excuse me. Um, I hope you're seeing it right now. So, if interest rates falls from arrow 1 to arrow 2, investment increases. That's you based on the principles, what the underlying understanding. Investment increases and shift the aggregate demand upward from C plus 1 to C plus 2 1. Good. You can see C plus 1. Look at it in that illustration. C plus 1, all right, to C plus, yeah, you've seen it now. We're in figure now. Let's look at the figure once again. We're saying in figure 5, just be very thorough. Because just be very, have a proper understanding of figure 5.1b, the effect. Look at I've seen it. Let's go at figure 5.1b. If I okay, I've seen figure 5.1b. Are you there? Look at it. That's figure 5.1b. That's where we're now. Now hold on to that. Then now let's go and see the. You see the. Go back and see the explanation once again. The figure 5.1b tells the effect of interest rates on aggregate demand. That total income. All right, income through investment.